Good morning, and sorry we're late. I'm getting echo. We were talking in the background and totally forgot, as we usually are. So I hope everyone's having a good Sunday. Welcome to the Ethan and Jenna Show. I'm your host, Ethan, and alongside me, Jenna Belk. Jenna,
hello.
how are you doing?
Well, I guess so. Do you want to continue the conversation we were having about everything?
Yeah. For those who are not aware, Jenna. So I'm in Chicago, but Jenna is in Texas, and Texas was hit really hard by a storm this past week, to the point that most people were without power, without food, water, gas. It has been a terrible experience, and unfortunately, there hasn't been much we can do. But Jenna, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Fair warning, I'm probably going to cry because I am pregnant, and so that's just increasing all of the emotions. But like, I've had to turn off the news so many times because I'm like, I can't handle the stories. Like, it's heartbreaking listening to what people are going through right now. But now that the storm's over, yes, people have their power back, but now, so during the storm, they sent out a mass text telling everyone to stop dripping their faucets because we were running out of water.
From just dripping the faucets?
From everybody dripping every faucet all day for days.
Wow.
So they told us to stop. And I was like, well, pipes are going to burst everywhere.
What do you do? You're then going to be responsible for the damage, and you're going to have to pay for your own home to be fixed.
Yeah. So actually, it's interesting. My partner is an irrigation technician, and he's going to be he had to go to work yesterday. And he's going to be working like overtime trying to shut off systems and stop water from pipes because of pipes breaking all over the place. So many people don't have water because it's contaminated. So a lot of people are on a boil water notice, even if you have water. So yes, we have power back. The power for me was a nightmare, and I never lost it completely. We lost it from the beginning. We lost it. We would have it for like 10 minutes, and then it would go off for like 20 minutes. But the time off got up to like half an hour, 45 minutes at times, a couple days later, but it would only come on for about 10 minutes. So it's like, it wasn't enough time to do anything. It wasn't enough time. It was just insane. No prep. And so I just feel even worse for the people who didn't even have the power, who didn't even have that little bit of time to get a little bit of heat in the house and a little bit of charging on their phone, or, food, keeping the fridge cold, things like that. People keeping warm on their porches in front of a grill because it's warmer than inside the house. People dying of carbon monoxide poisoning because they're trying to stay warm in their car and forget to open the garage. So it's just heartbreaking. But now that's over. Most people have power, but now you go to HEB, it's all gone. Like, I went a couple days ago, and there wasn't much on the shelves. It was like basically all the flavors of things that nobody wants. And that's kind of what it's down to. But I actually saw a post, Hector Garcia posted an HEB in San Antonio that was literally empty. Like, everything was empty. My partner yesterday tried to find gas and had to go to 6 different gas stations to find gas because everybody's out. The thing is that the trucks couldn't get here. Trucks couldn't deliver gas. Trucks couldn't deliver HEB, couldn't deliver mail. It's been a shit show. But now we know, this is those mental health and the unexpected. Now we know things like this, I think, are going to happen more often because of the change in the climate, because of, we're going to get colder times down here. So I guess, how do you mentally prepare for that? When it's unexpected, maybe taking it day by day, just trying to understand and go forward from here. Even if you're not a Texan that just went through this shit show, just watching it, just realize that this can happen to anybody. and not specifically this disaster, but a disaster that nobody knew or could prepare for, right? So I guess try to understand that things like this are going to happen more often. We need to accept it. Ever since the school shootings and the just everything that's been happening,
Right.
It's getting crazy. We're learning a lot, but the more this is how I choose to look at it, is the more things like this happen, the more we get a really shitty president that abuses all of the laws, the more we can find the flaws in our systems. We now know that there are problems with our electric grid. I didn't know that there was a difference in an electric grid for Texans. Like, I didn't even know that.
I had no idea.
It's making me want to be more informed. It's making me want to be more political, because I'm pretty sure we voted for this, so
like, when you voted for this, are you saying you voted in favor of not having your grid be under federal guidelines or restrictions, or what do you mean by that?
That's from my understanding. And to be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of research yet. We're just getting going again. But from what I understand, Texans, and I don't know if that means that we voted for the politicians that made this happen or what, but we decided that we didn't want to be on the federal grid. So we kept a wholly separate grid. From my understanding, that's because of climate change denial. I will stress that I could be wrong. I beg anybody that's interested in this, what I'm talking about, please do more research, because I'm going to as well, and probably going to come back and correct myself if I can. And so I don't want to speak too much on it, but that from what I understand, we just haven't spent the money as a government on systems that can provide us with more renewable resources. Things like we didn't winterize the wind turbines. Everybody's saying, well, they stopped working. It got too cold. And then people are showing pictures of Antarctica and other places that have wind turbines that work. Well, those were winterized. They didn't expect this to happen here because I don't think that they believe in the climate change, that it's going to be drastically changing now. This is going to happen more often. We're going to get lower temperatures at times, right? So we have to be more prepared. And since we didn't invest the money in it, now we're learning, okay, well, some people are going to pay for it now, which is really unfortunate. And I've seen news articles. I don't know if this is true yet, because I haven't seen any electric bills, obviously. But I'm hearing that they're going to skyrocket to $5,000, $10,000 for the month because of the surges. I hope that's not true.
The government has to step in if that ends up being the case. Expecting people to pay for that kind of money for power. I still, honestly, I don't get why we have to pay for power. At this point, power is just essential and should be provided by the government, in my opinion. Or, sorry, I shouldn't say that. There should be limitations to how much people can charge for basic necessities. Like, how many people were frigging freezing because they didn't have power? Like, that's ridiculous.
People froze to death.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone knows what the death count is at. Please let me know, because it's sad that we, or Texas, was not prepared for something like this. In Chicago, we're lucky because we have things in place that not only help prevent this, but additionally how we handle it when something like this happens. We've got plows, endless amounts of plows that are ready to go at any time. We know how to handle it. And if you don't know how to handle the cold, it could be difficult to deal with. And to kind of put in perspective of just how cold it could be. For instance, there was this time I worked in a restaurant, and it was dead freezing in the winter, and the location ran out of power. We sat inside the walk-in refrigerator because the refrigerator was warmer than the building itself. Imagine going into a refrigerator to warm up. And that's kind of what they were going through. It was just so cold. There's nothing they could do.
Right. And like you were talking about earlier, there's no deliveries. There's no way to access people. There's no plows to get the snow off the roads. So only the main roads are clear. So it's like, well, now you got to get out of your neighborhood. you know. My partner luckily has 4-wheel drive, so he was actually able to safely. I understand that there's a lot of people that are under the impression that everyone who has 4-wheel drive just drives like a maniac. He drives like very extremely carefully. I don't want to be stereotypical, but anyway, so he was able to get around and do some things. But we saw so many cars, so many cars flipped over, and they would just tag them because they couldn't get to them. There's no way to get to them all. So they're just all there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. I haven't left my house for a couple days, but what do you think? I mean, if this were to happen to you, something like this were to happen to you, you just all of a sudden, you get a winter storm warning and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? It's winter. You don't worry about it.
I honestly, in Chicago, I don't. Real quick before I expand on that,
Go ahead.
if anyone's interested in sharing their thoughts or asking us questions and talking about how to cope with the unexpected, call the number at the bottom of the screen, 708-554-7836. Dude, when a storm comes to me, I'm just like, whatever. I really don't care because we are so comfortable with it happening that it's just the norm. Like worst case scenario, we had a bad storm coming like 2 weeks ago. And how little I care about storms in Chicago or how much I don't think about them. In the middle of like an oncoming snowstorm, I just drove to my buddy's house 35 miles away so I could play video games. Now looking back, it was actually really stupid because driving home took me like 2.5 hours. But that's the point, is it's not as concerning to us because, hey, the streets are going to get plowed. I have yet to have an experience outside of that one in the restaurant where I've lost heat. So I am, I guess, privileged enough to not even have to consider something like that happening. If it did happen, though, I mean, I don't know. I feel confident that, say we lost power, that it's going to get back and up and running right away. Like they're really quick about that stuff in the winter. So I'm lucky. I don't have as much to be concerned about outside of worrying about the other people like who don't have homes or don't have heat and are freezing outside, because that does happen. We have a lot of homeless people in the Chicagoland area who can't get to warm, and it's sad. Like we do need more in place to help the people during the winter, but we need more in place to help people every day throughout the year.
Well, so the thing is that, I actually, when I first moved to Austin, a couple years after, I think a year after, the fire happened here in Bastrop. I don't know if you heard about that. The big fire that the whole neighborhoods were burning down, and you could see the smoke all the way down in Mexico. It was pretty bad. And so when there was that fire so close to us that, and then there was a fire in Steiner Ranch, which is a neighborhood right next to Austin. It's a pretty wealthy neighborhood. There was a fire there. And so it's just, we're learning. I understand that it's impossible to understand what it's like to go through something like that if you've never been through something like that. It is impossible. You can't expect to understand it. But what you can do is understand that that can happen to you, and you can learn it the hard way, and try to understand that we just need to go easy on ourselves and try to just take it easy, go one day at a time, just do the next thing that you have to do. Because that's all you can do. We're sitting here in the house and there's no power and there's no lights, and we're lighting candles and we're just waiting. You can't really do anything. You can't watch TV. You can't even read. You can't see. It's so many disasters, so many fires in California, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes are happening all over the place. I don't know. I guess, the difficult thing that is, it's really hard not to at least for me, and for some, I think for you too, Ethan, it just listening to all of these stories, it's so heartbreaking that you can only handle listening to so much.
That's true. And I feel bad saying that, but everybody can only handle hearing so much grief, because grief, or would it not grief, would it be sadness, or what would it be? Trauma, because it also weighs on the individual hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can really bring down your own mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I guess one of the things Jenna said to me before the show is, I had reached out to see if there's anything I could do. Can we send, heating packs? Can we send food? Like, what can we get down there? Let's do a fundraiser right now, and we'll get shit overnighted the next day. And then after talking to some people out there, they had informed me that there's literally nothing we could do, because the airplanes aren't landing. They're not making deliveries. There's no way to get stuff out there. So all Jenna said we could do would be to just listen and let people talk to us and be supportive. But I guess the real question for me now is, Jenna, what can we do now that it's passing? Is there anything that Texans need that we are able to help you get?
Oh, so you're talking about outside help? What can we request?
Right, like,
we help with?
Do you still need heating packs? Do you still need food? Like, where?
Water.
Is there water? Okay.
Water is probably the number one thing that people need, and people are out of. Stores are out of. So if you can send bottles of water, jugs of water, it's going to take a while probably to get here, but you may save one person. Who knows? It can help. Food, basic granola bars, just basic dry foods that don't expire too soon. It's hard to get people gas and propane.
Yeah, I don't think we can ship you gas.
No. But I'm not sure what y'all can do other than emotional support, or monetary support for anybody who does have the means. Okay. If you don't have the means, this is not for you. But if you do have the means, when somebody is finding out that they have this crazy bill and they need to figure out how to handle that while keeping their power on, if you could help loan people money for their electric bill, if you trust them, or give it to them if you can, going out and actually, there's a Phil Session. He's used to be an AXP host. He's really, really good at volunteering and keeping up with all of these volunteering organizations. And apparently there's a lot of places that are restaurants that are getting together, giving out food. So I think that's why if you send food, then it'll actually get to people, because there's places here in town where people can go to get food and water. Like they're just donating food. So it's kind of awesome hearing that. Blankets. Oh, yes. Yeah. Fran said blankets.
Do you have those warming pack thingy majiggers?
I don't.
Do you know what they are?
No.
Here, hang on. Hold that thought. Can you vamp for like 30 seconds?
Sure. So let's see. I don't do very well being put on the spot. But does anybody have any questions? I mean, there's not really, I guess emotional support is really the best thing that I'd recommend doing for people. Asking people, is there anything I can do? And not saying I'll pray for you. That'll help. Don't say I'll pray for you. Let's see. You said you're talking about heating packs.
So check. All right. So these, they have like hand warmers, feet warmers. So all you do, so I have like 2 open here. So, they're these little packs that come out, and they provide heat for like 8 hours.
How?
So, yeah, you shake them up, dude. These are the best things to have in Chicago. So you take these, put in your gloves. They've got feet warmers that you can put on it's a little thin one. You put it on the bottom of your foot, like in your sock, and then you put your shoe on, keeps your toes.
Oh my God.
Yes. They are like the best things ever. All you have to do is shake them. And then within 30 seconds, it starts generating heat, and it is consistent and can even get hot at times. Like it is, your hands or feet will never go cold if you have these.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Uh, and the advantage, you can also, you can put them like, you don't want to hold them against your skin because they do get hot, or you don't want to have them pressed hard against your skin, but you can put them like in your shirts and things like that, or just stick something to it, and you will not be cold if you have
I'm in a hat right here.
Yeah, there you go, a hat. So maybe we should get a bunch of these and send them out to you guys, because they're phenomenal. And I learned a trick. Here's the best part. Say you only need them for 2 hours, and but they last 8 hours. You don't want to waste them. So you take them, you put them in a bag, you just press out the air, and then you Ziploc it, and then they will cool down, and they will activate again when you open it up and they're exposed to air.
So, we're not under the impression that a winter storm like this will happen again this year. But if those are the kinds of things that, like Kevin was saying, that meal packets, like the what do you call it? The little meals that astronauts eat, and like military, the packs, what do you call it?
MREs.
MREs. Yes. Kevin was saying, and I don't know anything about MREs, but I just know that my partner was telling me that if you can get like HEB or someone at like a large factory setting to make a bunch of MREs, that can lower the price of them, and then we can start actually selling them to people for a decent price, and people can save them for things like this, for emergencies. It's good to have things like this, things like that. It's good to have, I'm learning, having like 5-gallon buckets around, just having some buckets, just you never know when you're going to need to hold a whole bunch of water somewhere, or transport it. Let's see. So yeah, hand warmer. What are those called?
They're just called hot hands hand warmers.
So is that like a thing in Chicago that you're like, hey man, you got any hot hands?
Yeah, I mean they're really common. Like you go to Walgreens, Jewel, they're everywhere in the winter.
Cool. I've never seen that before. Never heard of that before. Texan's going to learn today.
Yeah. So here's the question: can we, from Apologetically Me, where do we ship this stuff? Because right now we don't have anything in place. I don't know who to go to, who needs the help. Like, what do we do right now?
If I were you, I would find your favorite nonprofit organization or several of them and contact them. ACA, we're like Matt's doing a really good job of kind of keeping everybody together, checking on people, Katie, Greg, and everybody, checking on everyone, making sure everybody's safe and happy. But I'm not sure if we're to the point yet that you can just ship all your stuff to ACA and we can get it out. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to them first. I don't want to speak for them.
Okay.
But I do know that Phil Sessions shared a link in that chat of a list of nonprofits that I can actually, let me pull it up and share it in the chat for y'all. So that you can, because it has a list of places that are giving out food, so you can go to them. Right? You know what I mean?
Right. And also, again, if you want to share your feedback, talk to either of us and ask us any questions, call the number at the bottom of the screen, 708-554-7836, where every single week we cover mental health and another topic. And if you have any suggestions of things you want us to cover, let us know.
Oh man, that's a long link. Actually, so Jim, no, that's not what I was trying to copy.
If you put the link in the private chat, I can quickly create a tiny URL for it and then post it in the comment section if it's too. Oh, here. Did that work?
Here we go. I got it. Here we go. Here's the link. So if you go to this link right here, austintexas.gov/weather info, that is the site that I found of where they have people gathering to give things. So I'll kind of list off a few places. The Lakeline water distribution sites today open 11 till supplies last. So they've been open half an hour. There's one at Lakeline Station, Walnut Creek Park, Anderson High School, ACC Highland Mall parking lot, Nelson Field, J Onion Creek Soccer Complex, I Garrison Park. ACC Pinnacle Campus, Roy G. Guerrero Park, and Zilker. So a whole bunch of places are distributing water. A bunch of people on a boil water notice. To report main breaks, residents can report issues to austintexas.gov as well. So it's just, there's not a lot that y'all can do from there. It's all, we have to get together and we have to figure this out. Only problem is I feel so bad because there's a pandemic, I don't want to go out and volunteer and spend my time volunteering. Oh, yes, we have water. We are actually not even on the boil water notice. We've been using our fridge filter, and that's been good for us right now. I actually gave some water to someone earlier. As far as our needs, I mean, I don't know yet. I don't know what our electric bill is going to be. I guess we'll find out. But we just moved into this new house. So that's actually next month is we're going to get our first bill.
Well, for your sake and everybody in Texas, I truly hope you don't get some type of ridiculous $10,000, any ridiculous bill for that matter, because that's insanity.
I would refuse. I'd say no. I don't have it. I physically don't have that. That's not possible.
Right. Charging someone $10,000 not to freeze to death is horrible.
Jesus. Yeah, this is our first week. We moved into this house, and the first weekend is when this storm hit. So I've been itching to go on walks around the neighborhood, and I couldn't even go on a walk because the ice was so slippery. It's just insane. So let's see, do we have any callers yet? We don't have anybody calling to talk.
What other unexpected things can we talk about aside from death and weather?
I think natural disasters are a really big thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about because they happen in such small clusters. I think this is the biggest, almost the whole state of Texas, right. So I think this is one of the biggest ones that I've heard of recently, I think, apart from Amazon forest burning. But I think we need to talk about things like this. Hurricanes, tornadoes, fires. Fires are becoming so much more prevalent. I guess what I'm learning is that even if you're not affected very much when something like that happens. Thank you, Richard. I think a lot of people are going to need some financial aid. I know that a lot of the ACA volunteers we're volunteers. A lot of us aren't struggling right now. So if anybody can help the ACA people, all of us, I know we all need help right now.
And for those that don't know, I know there's this unfortunate myth out there that when you become a YouTuber, all of a sudden you're making all these big bucks. That's so not the case.
Yeah.
Most of us are dependent on our full-time jobs. For instance, my full-time job is the thing that allows me to even do this because the calls, even if we don't get callers right now, having a line open costs money. So if I didn't have my financial job, like my full-time job, my YouTube would actually be in jeopardy, at least in terms of the call-in shows. So when the people at the ACA, all the people on front of the camera and behind the camera are just that. They're volunteers. They're not getting paid to do what they do. And obviously the ACA is in Austin, so they probably, most of them, could use the help right now.
Well, and also something that people I don't think realize is how many things, in order to have access to graphics and sounds and video and all kinds of things, you have to pay for subscriptions to websites. So I have a prescription to Storyblocks audio so that I can have sound for my meditations. I have a prescription to Adobe so that I can actually edit my videos because otherwise I don't have a way to do that. And that's $60 a month. So Yeah. But I'm trying to make quality stuff. And so that costs money. Like I'm pretty much making back what I'm spending through my Patreon, but not much over that. So, so that's an interesting tidbit there of the ACA YouTubers and the mods too. It's not just the people whose faces you're seeing who are volunteering. There's so many people behind the scenes, production and editing and clipping and moderating and all kinds of people sharing. And it's just so many people. If you can't help, let people know.
And it doesn't have to be financial help. There are other ways you can volunteer and help out people with the ACA. Just getting the word out. Like, let's say we start a fundraiser for the people of the ACA. Hey, take that link, post it, share it everywhere, share the channel, do everything you can. Like, if you can't contribute to Jenna's Patreon, that's fine. Hey, share her Patreon, share her YouTube channel, get more attention on it because somebody else may be able to contribute financially. So sharing, liking, subscribing, all of that makes a difference.
Right.
Additionally, we're trying to still get Jenna monetized. She needs that 4,000 watch hours. So watch some of her videos. If you absolutely don't have the time or you're busy, click a video and turn it off if you have to, but just let it play through. That will help the monetization process because she needs to get to 4,000 watch hours in order to get monetized.
I need about 1,000 more.
1,000 more. So if we had 100 people watch 10 minutes of her content, she could get monetized tomorrow. Just saying.
Really?
Yep. 100 people spending 10 minutes on your video.
So put it on in the background while you're cooking.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I always have like stuff on in the background. Although at times I can't only, like there are some who listen to content all day. I can't do that. I have to break up and I have to have music and other things and nerd stuff on. Like music is a big thing for me. Like I find music that fits my mood. Like if I'm in a depressed or anxious mood, I have a few go-to tracks that I use that kind of help me. Like, how do I even describe it? Embrace that mood? I don't know. Accept it? I don't know
go with it.
To describe it because when I'm in that mood, I don't like upbeat music. I like other music that fits the mood because for some odd reason, the more effed up music when I'm effed up actually makes me feel better.
Say that again?
So if I'm effed up right now, I would rather listen to more effed up music because that makes me feel better. Whereas when I'm in a good mood, I want more good upbeat music.
Right. Like when I'm in a bad mood or I'm angry, then I like to listen to like Linkin Park.
I love Linkin Park, dude.
Yeah. Yes, we need to get us monetized too. And so, this isn't necessarily all official. Do you want to tell people about what we're going to be doing, partnering, or do we want to wait till we have more information and kind of leave a teaser here for them?
Let's just, okay, we'll say this and hopefully it doesn't get me in trouble. We are in the beginning stages of working. I don't even know if I should say that.
We have special news that we're working on. So keep tuned in so that
there isn't an organization that is interested in making our podcast their official podcast. So, well, that's all we could say. I'm sorry. I'd like to give more.
I'm sorry. I don't know the rules.
Yes. When this person told us what they wanted to do, both of us were like, yeah, of course. It's awesome. We're definitely going to do that. So,
but back to the conversation that we were talking about. I'm so sorry. I got us off track.
No, you're fine. But also, speaking of the volunteers, I would like to thank our first official call screener, Kaitlyn Beyond. Thank you so much. She is working behind the scenes now to make sure we don't get any troll callers. Also, keep in mind, this is a show around mental health. So if you are watching this and you want to debate religion, this is not the show. If you want to debate God, not the show. This is specifically for mental health only.
Yeah, we each have opportunities that you can call us and do that, but not here. Let's see.
So
So we were
back on
talking about.
topic.
Go
What
ahead.
were we talking? No, I was going to say let's get back on topic. But what was the topic, or where were we?
Well, we actually had gotten off topic again because we were talking about our moods and how we manage them. But I mean, this is part of it because it's about mental health and the unexpected, right? So you do have to deal with a sudden shift in your mood. You have to know what to do when you are desperate and you're isolated and you have to get through it mentally too, right? Not just physically. If you finally got the water, you finally got the food, you finally got the blankets and everything on you. Now, what are you going to do? Because now you're trapped in your head, right? So like you said, music. I mean, I guess if you don't have electricity, it's kind of hard to listen to music unless you have something that's battery operated and doesn't need to connect to the internet. That's the other thing is a lot of people use internet streaming now.
You don't know where my mind just went. I'm sorry. When you said battery operated, I was like, Anyways, also, if you're watching this on Facebook, there is a link in the description to come over to our YouTube channel where all the exciting comments are happening, but also it does help us if you watch on YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I listen to Linkin Park when I'm really angry, or if I'm usually do you have like an average mood station or type of music that you like when you're just kind of whatever?
So yes. All right. So whoops. So I don't really like, I have my normal music I like. Like I love Linkin Park. I used to do them on karaoke. I would do the rap parts on karaoke while my buddy would sing. And he nailed the Chester Pennington part. Like it was so much fun.
Oh,
but
nice.
I don't typically listen to traditional music the majority of the time. I listen to music from some of my favorite composers like Bruce Faulkner, Ramin Djawadi, Hans Zimmer, John Williams, Blake Neely. Like
I know zero of those people.
You know John. All right, John Williams is the guy who does the Star Wars score. Most known for Star
instrumental music.
Instrumental music is that, or compositions. I listen because I don't know. I can more zone into it. Like I have my. Like there is a song I should post the song that relieves my anxiety. Like there is one instrumental that whenever I'm like, if I'm like, my anxiety is horrible, I'll put this on because it helps me like it helps me breathe. And I'm going to, you know what? I got to let me go on my phone and get that track and I'm going to post it in the YouTube comments because, hey, maybe that will help somebody else out when they're stressed. But that's like the type of thing I like doing. I search for my favorite artists. Ooh, like here's the thing. Charlie Clouser, he does the Saw soundtrack. That dun 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 dun, like that real like intense.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm in a like messed up mood, that is what I listen to. I absolutely love that because it's like it's dark and intense and emotional, and it really dude, if I get high and put my noise canceling earphones in and listen to something like that, I am in a complete zone and I have completely escaped reality, and it's a really good feeling when needed.
So you're embracing your mood, and that's what feels good.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. I do very much try to embrace the mood I'm in and deal with it accordingly, rather than just.
Yes.
I know some. My coping mechanism is accepting the mood I'm in, I guess.
I think that is extremely healthy.
Because I don't always feel healthy.
Well, I had to mention also a recommendation. You mentioned a few people that you listen to that are kind of instrumental. I have fallen completely in love with I don't know what this genre of music is called. Maybe you or someone can help me identify the music genre. But it's when like Jennifer Lawrence or Lindsay Sterling not Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer, what's her name? Crap, it's something like that. But she does like Beethoven, but then adds like drums and electric guitar and like dub and electrical music to it. It just kind of, oh my God, it's mind blowing. Hold on. So I have a link here of Lindsay Sterling. one of my favorite songs by her. She does violin, like dubs, like electronic. And I when I go on my walks and I'm listening to her, I'm like, but it's really, really fun to listen to. That's so fun. That's so funny to me. Just side note here that you and I, like, our regular moods, like go-tos, are instrumentals.
That is pretty cool. We do have a lot. We do have a lot in common.
Yeah, and I was also noticing, like, look at your shirt and then look at my background.
Oh, dude. It's
right?
like the shapes and the colors match. That's so cool.
Right? I'm like, this, we are the same person, just
My expression is through my clothes and your expression is through painting.
through crafts, art. Yes.
I'm terrible at art. But speaking of art, so my nephew, so we have been essentially quarantining for about 10 days now. And my nephew's been home and he got into this video game Smash. Like he's 5 years old. He's completely hooked on it. And now when we play, every time he's like, you have to sit down on the ball and let me sit on your lap. Like, and now that's like, like, I don't know, it makes me happy that that is important to him. Well, he drew me a picture of us playing Smash together. So there's me with a hat on. There's his character. There's the Smash ball, the stage. Like, he did a pretty good job. And I was like, oh. But yeah, he's constantly like drawing me stuff and like in the middle of a show coming and bringing it to me. And I'm like, shh. And I do my best to hide. So I will post him on my personal Facebook, but I will not post him on Twitter or YouTube. So someone suggested, well, let him have a mask on and then he could be, because I posted a video the other day of him saying like, I want to be on camera. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to wear a mask. Like I just don't feel comfortable associating him to my political and religious ideology. Like, I don't know that he could properly consent or understand what he's doing. And I just don't think he should be a part of it until, he can perhaps understand it better.
What would you say if your nephew came up to you and said that he wanted to go to a church?
Make sure you ask questions, or don't be scared to ask questions. I wouldn't, like, my brother.
Would encourage him to go?
I don't know that I would encourage him to go. No, I don't. So my brother, I'm atheist. My brother is atheist, but more agnostic. So we do talk about it around him. So he is exposed to it, but I typically am very careful about saying what I believe. And I more want to encourage him to just keep annoying people with questions. Don't be scared to ask, because that's what I did as a kid. I annoyed people, teachers. Still to this day, I annoy bosses and coworkers. Like, well, why? Why is this like this? It doesn't, like, when I see something not working correctly, even if it is the president of the company, I will send them an email and be like, actually, this isn't very effective. It should probably be like this. Like, it's how my brain operates. And I at times have to hold that back because people get very offended if you tell them they're doing something wrong. But I can't help it. Like, if I see something that's not working correctly, it's like, well, it would be more effective to do this. And I do that because I also want people to do that to me. Like, when I'm screwing up, I want someone to point it out, because the only way it's going to get fixed is by me learning the mistake I made and adapting. And I wish society would be more open to being told, you're wrong. Like, that should be okay. You should be able to say, hey, I messed up. I made a mistake. Get comfortable with saying those things, because you or I could be wrong about anything at any moment. So I just encourage questions and standing up for what you believe in.
So is it just the stigma around the atheism in general in this country that is keeping you from wanting him to be associated with YouTube and atheism? Or
that would be one, because there are atheists that get death threats. They're treated poorly. I don't want someone, who knows when someone would report something like, oh, this child's being abused.
Right.
I mean, to give you an example, my brother's lack of belief got brought up in court. Like, they tried to use that against him. It didn't work, he has custody. But that goes to show you the stigma around atheism. If they try to use it to take away your child, like, what is up with that?
Yeah, like I had to go to AA to get a PI taken care of, and AA is it's pretty religious.
Yeah, and I've noticed, okay, I'm not saying AA doesn't help people, but I don't think it does the benefits that it could. And I do think overall it can at times be harmful. But I have noticed that that is not a popular opinion. Like, people get very offended, even atheists, if you go after AA. And it's like, I'm sorry, it's great, it helped you, but they are not using any type of scientific means of helping people get better. And they encourage you to say you're broken and you're always an addict and you need to surrender. No, you don't. You need to take control. You need to talk that you do have the power to change. You do have the strength to change. Sometimes you just need a little help and a little guidance and a little support. You're not broken.
Dude.
What, did I just say something wrong?
Do you see the fireworks coming out of my head?
Oh.
So I have been working this past week, a lot of quiet time, right? A lot of time to myself. I've been thinking a lot about what direction I want to go, because I have atheistasis going, and I have a lot of interviews that I still have to post, and I'm going to start going again soon. But that's like my preamble. That's me as a new atheist talking about new things. And once all this isn't new anymore, I have my main focus that I'm building right now. And so for those of you that know, I do meditations in the mornings on weekdays. I'm going to start again Monday. Didn't last week because I didn't have internet or power. But every Monday through Friday, I do 15-minute meditations from 10 a.m. to 10:15. And it's just one, so that you can learn how I do it. There are millions of different ways to do it. But if you don't know how to get started, you can use mine as like a starter template and kind of modify it to your own needs. Also, it's kind of so that you can have something consistent to kind of hold you accountable, so that if you want to build it as a routine in your life, which I recommend personally, then you have someone that you can, oh yeah, but I have this streamed at this time. So it kind of keeps you doing it if you'd like, because that's one of the reasons that I do it. Thing is, it's on Genesis is my show, and my show's going to have 3 parts, and the other 2 parts are going to be about taking care of that need for what worked for me in AA, but leaving all the shit, so having I have so many things that I am planning, and I know now that at some point I'm going to be doing Zoom meetings for people to come and talk about hard things that they're going through, personal things, and it is completely anonymous. It doesn't have to be alcohol based, because I have learned how beneficial that is, just to have a safe place to go to talk about your deepest passions and guilt and shame and all that, and go to a place just like AA and share it, but nobody can crosstalk. Nobody can comment on what you're saying, really. It's just you having a safe place to share and get it off your chest, because I think that's what is the most important part of AA. Yeah. And you don't have to be an alcoholic to have that need either.
No. People need a place to talk to where they can open up and not feel judged for having issues with addiction, right. Where they can feel comfortable expressing themselves and find people who also struggle. They can be supportive to them.
So the other part of my show is going to be basically me sharing my experiences. So what I would share like in an AA meeting, but I'm going to be sharing it with everyone, because I think that I've learned some things the hard way. And I understand that a lot of people have to do that. I'm one of those people. I have to learn things the hard way. But there are also a lot of things that I've learned that kept me from hitting the rock bottom too hard, because I learned from others. And so I'd like to share my experiences with everyone so that they can take whatever it is that they need that can help them not hit so hard as well. And just be aware of some things that happen, because there's so many things I was like, oh, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. You don't know. So I'm going to be sharing my regrets and my things that I'm embarrassed about and what I learned from it and where I'm going now. And so I'm going to be applying that as well. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that we kind of rolled onto that, but that is going to be, I hope, a tool in people's toolbox. I'm promoting tools, not rules.
Oh, I like that. Tools, not rules. That's catchy.
Yeah. There are no hard rules or 1 through 10. You have to do this first and that next. No, everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. I never got past step 3. And I'm sober 3.5 years now. So, thank you. But that's the other thing is that you don't have to be sober for a long period of time to be successful at this.
This is an interesting subject for me, but I'm just going to say I give people credit for having the courage to be public about their past addictions. It takes a lot of strength coming forward with that, knowing full well that you are going to be judged by people and people will look at you differently. And it's sad, but nothing but respect for you to be, yeah. It's awesome that you can do that, Jenna.
Well, I haven't done it yet, so we'll see how it goes.
It's awesome that you are public about your past as an addict. I do want to get to this question.
Yeah.
So I'm already struggling with my mental health and then was in a car accident, and now my dominant arm is in a sling. Any tips on how to cope with not being able to do anything like I used to? Okay, so I can somewhat contribute to this conversation. So for those that don't know, I've had surgery on both my arms. And actually this elbow is still numb from surgery. Like I can't feel this, but I had what's called ulnar compression, where the cubital tunnel, this area basically narrows. And so anytime I would bend my arm, the nerve would snap over the bone. And it got so painful that I was like, it was excruciating. Like right in here, my fingers were going numb. It caused me, I was shaking one day. It was just so bad. And it's not something painkillers typically help with. I got in the habit of basically sleeping like this for years. I would be like this, I'd be like this. If I'm laying down, I'd be like this. And it was at times it was unbearable. Like when I'm typing, I used to be like this. I had to do everything I could to prevent from bending those arms. After I got off all that seizure medication, the pain amplified because I was no longer a zombie. And I ended up one day I woke up and I'm like, oh my God. And I went to the hospital because both my arms were just horrible. It was, and the pain goes from here to here, all the way to your spine, because it's a long running nerve. So what they did, I actually asked the doctor if they could do both surgeries at the same time. He's like, yeah, you have no idea what you're preparing for if you think you could do both at the same time. So what they do is they make a slice right here. The nerve's about this thick. They
trigger warning for anybody who gets graphic images in their head. No,
oh my God, thank you.
Put pause for just about a minute.
I am sorry. I should have done a trigger warning first. Thank you for stopping me. Holy crap. Okay. Yes, severe trigger warning. This is going to get gross. After they take that nerve out, they slice open this muscle right here and they stick it inside. So instead of the nerve being all the way here, it's over here. So my funny bone is basically right here now. Anyways, after the surgery, you're in a sling like this. It's like, you ever see the movie Rookie of the Year? Yeah, you're completely immobilized. Well, when I had my right arm done, I had to use my left for everything. And that includes pooping. And using an arm you're not used to for wiping is difficult. It feels like a foreign hand. And it was horrible. It took me about 6 weeks before I could even do this. My right one was just so bad. But man, I will say this, 48 hours after the surgery, even though I was in pain from the surgery, the pain I was feeling was gone. I remember calling the doctor dude, the pain's gone. I don't even care that it hurts from surgery. I am not in friggin' pain. This is amazing. He's like, well, don't get too excited. He's like, it's just the second. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm pretty confident you fixed it. And he did. and he did it 2 times, on both arms. Well,
That's so awesome.
I forced myself to get in the habit of doing things with my left, and it was hard. It was frustrating, but I made little changes. I started keeping my wallet in my left-hand side instead of my right-hand side. I avoided putting anything in my right pockets. I adjusted in every way I could to better cope. And at times it was so difficult to deal with because you're just like, no, I want to use this arm and you can't. And he recommended keeping it in this like stuck position for even longer because it was my dominant hand. He's like, if like when somebody reacts, their reaction is usually going to be with their dominant hand. So if I reacted to something, like say something fell and I reached and grabbed it, I could have, if you're still listening, best name, go on mute again. If I had quickly reacted, I could have torn the nerve right out of the muscle. So I had to keep it as immobile as possible. The best coping mechanism I could suggest would be and mine wasn't permanent, so I can't say I know exactly how you feel, but would be to do everything you can to make adjustments to use your left hand. And it will get better. Like now, like I don't even notice, like I actually never switched back. I still keep my wallet on my left-hand side, or like anything I need, I will put in my left pockets because forced myself to get so comfortable with doing that now it's the norm. And if I put something in my right pocket, that actually feels off despite the right being my dominant hand. I hope that answers your question.
So would you say kind of taking it moment by moment and adjusting what you need to and kind of accepting that it is what it is and just adjusting accordingly? Is that kind of...
That's all I could do. And again, mine wasn't permanent, but it was frustrating to deal with at first. But as time went on, I actually did get more and more comfortable with using my left. Now, I can't write with my left. I can't like throw a ball with my left, but I've never really tried.
So we're adaptable creatures. We really, really are. I mean, there are people that are born without limbs, and so many people are like, well, how do they get around? Well, they grow up without limbs and they figure it out. Or people who lose limbs, you figure it out. You know, it's so hard. And I'm so sorry if this sounds harsh. But that's become like my favorite thing to do, figuring shit out, you know.
Same.
But that's hard to do when times are hard, when it's not fun, when you're not in the mood, you know. So I guess what I do to kind of snap myself out of that cycle, because it's kind of a mental cycle that you get on where you're just naming everything that you can't stand, right? Just pointing out all of the negatives in your life. It's so hard, especially if it's a routine or a pattern in your life. But what I try to do, and I'm not very good at it yet, I'm still trying, is to learn to, in that moment when I realize that I'm not thinking healthy, I'm not improving the situation, I'm getting engulfed in the pain or the suffering, I try to take a deep breath. Breaths are like my go-to. Just stop and take a breath. Stop and take a breath and then recharge, right? So just almost like a reset button. Take a couple breaths and then say, okay, I've actually learned there's a game that I'm gonna definitely utilize with my kid. But something I'm also going to utilize in my own life more is the could be worse game, right? Where you have a situation that's hard to deal with and you start thinking of all of the ways that it could be worse, right? And you can get kind of fun with it too. Like it could be raining meatballs, you know, like there's so many things that you can do to name how the situation could be worse. Right. And in the meantime, it makes you feel better. I mean, it's a mental trick, but I mean, that's what you got to learn how to do, is when to mentally trick yourself and when not to. It's hard. We do have calls.
Oh yeah, we do have calls. Like one of the other things I've had to like adjust. I have an old strongman injury. And this like past year, my back, like I'm dreading going to a doctor because I have a feeling that based on the research I've done, it's going to be back surgery where they have to like, I don't know if it's like shave the bone or shave the disc, but a day like today, it's actually for the past couple of days been really bad. Like there's times I'm getting out of bed and I'm just like, I have to roll over and I have to kind of push myself up. Or dude, if you ever see me sneeze on camera, you'll often notice I purposefully bend down because if I sneeze while standing up, the pain is horrible. It's like someone just took a stab to my low spine. It's like this instant ring, and I'm just like, like even right now, I am standing in a way that helps alleviate the pressure because I can feel it in my low back.
I'm so sorry, Ethan.
It sucks, man. It really does. Like I used to lift heavy stuff. Like I used to do competitive strongman and deadlift cars and shit like that. And those big concrete stones. And now I'm just like,
You just hurt your body.
yes,
Yeah.
I did. And I still remember the day I heard it. My back has never been the same since then. And it actually got worse. Like probably like 2 weeks before I moved out, right before I had surgery on my right arm. I was like, oh, so now I get this pain taken care of. And now I can't always stand up straight. So it sucks because your back is everything. It's, you turn, you move, you stand, you sit. There are so many things your back is involved in that you don't even think about. Like
going to the bathroom.
if I go to a bar, you'll almost never see me sitting on those seats because a regular seat causes me a lot of pain. That's why I have a bouncy ball. A bouncy ball is the only thing I can sit on that doesn't cause me pain because there's no direct pressure. Like if I'm playing checkers or chess with my brother on the couch, most of the time you'll see me like I'll be like this, like kind of on my side because I can't sit. It sucks.
So before we get to, I'm so sorry, Ethan. I wish there was more I could do for you about that, but obviously I'm not a doctor.
No,
but so that could be worse. That can be helpful in ways, but also to acknowledge that it is bad and this thing did happen. Yes. I do not use those tools as ways to deny what's happening or to escape it, because the fact is, you're right, you will come back and you will have to deal with it. I just use it as a tool. There are ways that I have to manipulate myself to do things that I don't want to do. I mean, I think that's something that we all have to learn is how and when to manipulate ourselves, but yes, absolutely. Acceptance is absolutely the first step. Accept that whatever is happening, because the fact is that you don't have any control over it. It's already happening.
I can't change that I'm in pain, but I can adapt or I can try. Like that's why I'm trying to do yoga more because supposedly building your core and abs can help alleviate back pain.
Yeah.
The issue with that is, from my understanding with this type of injury, is it actually requires shaving some of the area off because there's this constant like pressure on it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess time will tell. Anyways, we should probably get to our callers. We got two. First one is IQ. You're on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
Hey.
Hola.
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. It's I kept telling people that January rolls around and all of a sudden 2020 is gone. No. Well, things are going to be crazy. There's always something right around the corner. That brings us to your topic, expecting the unexpected.
Right.
Now, where are we with this? Well, things that you expect, that you see problems coming up over the hill and you prepare for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is the unexpected things that are not likely to happen, or are you not paying attention? This is really big to consider.
Mm.
The more you pay attention, the more you can see coming at you. And
mindfulness.
You can go to the doomsday preppers, and everybody rolls their eyes on that because they're expecting what is unlikely, but could happen. And preparativeness is always great when it actually is needed. But if you are preparing for what's extremely unlikely to happen and you're obsessing over what's extremely unlikely to happen. That's when you start getting bad looks.
Yeah.
But pay attention. See what's going on around you and know what you can prepare for. That's reasonable.
And believe
You know,
warning when you get a text of a winter warning or an evacuation from a hurricane. Do it.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm by far not any measure of a like doomsday prepper, but I understand what it means to at least have something together when the shit hits the fan, because it can at any point. I don't obsess over this, but you know, I keep certain things around just in case. I'm not quite a pack rat, but technically, yes, you won't see my house on an episode of Hoarders, but I do keep some things lying around that are useful in emergency situations. Like, I keep a bag of calcium chloride around. Not only if I do run out of rock salt, it's great for the driveway, but there was a few suggestions that I had put in your chat, Jenna, about trying to create some heat. And that's one of the things, because, you know, salt, it just melts into there and it it lowers the freezing temperature of water, therefore melting the ice on your driveway.
That's why you put salt in boiling water, right?
It reacts with water with an exothermic reaction, and it creates heat. Have you ever seen those heater meals? You get them at the grocery store. They it's a little meal, and it comes in a tray, and it's got like a little packet in there. And you put the packet in the tray, you add a little bit of water, and you close the box back up, and you come back in a few minutes, your meal's hot. That's what it is. It's calcium chloride in a little packet. You put water in there, it heats up, and it cooks your meal.
So where do we get those? Like grocery stores?
To create some heat in your house. You know, if it's freezing outside, your electricity's off, have a tent. Put a tent over your bed. Your body heat will get trapped in the tent, so at least you won't be freezing cold sleeping at night. You know, set up, fucking move your table out of the way, set up a tent in the middle of your living room.
Right.
You know, try to preserve some heat. There's, you know, like being able to science the shit out of everything. Whatever you can do, just to be ready. Fill your head with some knowledge on how to make some exothermic reactions that don't produce noxious gases. You know, like the little parabolic reflective surface pointed at something that can conduct heat. Make some heat throughout the day when you got some sunlight. You know, there's just little things that, you know, just pull out the MacGyver in you.
Yeah.
And to be resourceful.
And learn.
That's the thing. Not to have a bomb shelter in your backyard. You know, you really don't need to take it, even though if that's what's required in your situation, it's great that you have that. But just be resourceful. Learn about different sciences and chemistry and physics and different things that you can do that will come in handy if you ever need them, and that can go a long way.
And kind of take mental notes as you help people going through these tragedies, and kind of mentally kind of take notes. That's what I try to do, is take notes. Like, okay, all right, now if that would ever happen to me, what would I do? Kind of take notes. Like I would. So now I know I would keep those hand warmers, and bottles of water. So I guess IQ, how do you think, you know, so I have family members that are kind of doomsday preppers, and they have like a whole closet dedicated to canned food just in case the world's going to end. And I'm wondering, how far do you think is reasonable to go with that kind of thing? Because the fact is that now that person had food when we didn't, right?
Yeah.
So how far, what do you think?
It's only unreasonable if you have to outweigh every single situation. Now, they were preparing for doomsday. It wasn't doomsday. The power just went out. We got kicked back a couple hundred years, and people who have never had to live without electricity just realized what your maybe great grandparents, that was their everyday.
Right.
And we have become spoiled, you know, with all of our technology. It's all great. It's comfy, cozy. You know, we've made a lot of advancements, but we are forgetting how to live without it. And that's something that's important, is to just understand how to live without the modern times. You don't need to go live in the fucking woods. You don't need to live your entire life like that. If you are obsessed over a potential situation, that could be unreasonable. If you're prepared for these situations, that's reasonable. Because these people who were prepared for this crazy situation, the power just went out, but they still had food. They were prepared for something that was probably way worse than that, but it came in handy. So I think that that's reasonable.
To have getting a closet full of canned foods, waters, warmers, MREs if you can. What else? What else would we put in something that could prepare us for any kind of a disaster, not just a power outage?
Well, I mean, the sky's the limit. What are your comforts? You know, if you're just talking about basic survival, ways to feed yourself, ways to keep warm, some simple forms of entertainment, because it's this show, right? Mental health is important, especially in a survival situation, because you need to be with it upstairs. You need to have your shit together. You need to have your mind together too, because if you're freaking out crazy, you're going to make some rash decisions. So you need to be able to be calm and be reasonably happy considering the situation, but you cannot be freaking out. And if you don't have any ways to be able to at least comparatively relax and keep yourself cool, you're going to run into problems too, because nobody makes really good decisions when they're freaking out. So small, like board games, stuff like that, things that don't require electricity, things that, I'm personally, after about a decade and a half of intense psychedelic usage, I can watch paint dry and be amused. I can just disappear inside my head and think about weird shit, and I'm good. But that's just me. I can entertain myself, but when you're in a group setting, you need to be able to bring everybody together and get everybody's mind off of everything, off of the worry. Concerns are good. Worry is bad. That's when it starts consuming you, is when it's a worry. You need to know your situation, know that you have everything covered. What you don't have covered, have a plan for trying to get it covered, and then be able to relax, because relax is important.
And it's also hard. It's also hard not to dissociate completely and just be like, oh, you know what? It's never gonna happen again. I can't think about it. It's too hard.
That's just ignorance.
or pain.
I deal with anxiety. I know what it's like to have that. Don't even ask me what fucking time it is. I'm not thinking about anything right now. Leave me alone type feeling.
Yeah.
But when you're forced with needing to make a decision, being able to answer some of these questions, being able to calm yourself down, take a step back, and okay, what's going on? Just being able to collect yourself when you're in an emergency, because like I said, you can't freak out. You freak out.
Just practice, right? Doesn't that take practice though? I mean, it's like you have to go through a few tragedies to be prepared to go through the next tragedies,
What doesn't take practice?
Right?
I mean, like breathing or, taking a shit. Yeah, these are just things that just kind of happen. But any skill, any mental skill, being able to calm yourself down, being able to switch emotions. You guys were talking about music earlier. That's a big part, and it's a tool that I use. If I'm sad, I have a particular equation of different genres of music that I can use to change my mood from whatever it is to what I want it to be. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than others, but I know how each style of music affects me. I know the memories and the feelings that they bring out, and you can take small steps from this to this to this to this to happy. Or if you need to be angry, I know how to get myself angry. My playlist is all over the place. I can go from Boys to Men to Cannibal Corpse with back to back. And
nice.
Sorry to
knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry to wrap this up so quickly, but we got less than 10 minutes. And we got one more caller we got to get to. So IQ, thank you so much for
Pleasure
calling.
talking to you guys.
Thank you, IQ. Well, I was also thinking that you could do some kind of like singing, like we've got to find some kind of secular kumbaya. You know?
Secular kumbaya. What do you mean by that?
Like, you know that song that's like kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Right? It's just a fun song to sing that everybody knows, but it's all about Jesus, and I don't want to sing about that. So things like Friends in Low Places or Bohemian Rhapsody. You don't like that? You like country, do you?
No, I don't. And
so I grew up in the country, so I do.
yeah, I'm a big no on. There's some that's
okay.
occasionally moderately tolerable, but yeah, no.
So then what kind of what is that? I wonder how to do that. How to come up with some kind of a secular, everybody can sing along and everybody can remember it and enjoy singing it kind of thing.
Let's find an atheist musician and have them come up with a catchy hook.
Shelley Siegel.
There we go. Dude, I love her song,
I
man.
do too.
That is such a great song.
I do too.
All right, let's get to Mike and Deborah.
Yay.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good. Yourself?
We're doing all right. How are you?
I'm actually really well. I'm sitting here with Mike Clark, my neighbor, and he's actually the one who got me into calling in.
Nice.
Because he listened to your show like 2 weeks ago. And our story is that we have come together. We are very opposite in the fact that he is an atheist, I am a theist, but we have come together to help each other as a support system over our mental health issues.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so back to your topic is the unexpected is what we actually bonded over was that I had lost my best friend 3 years ago. And it actually took me down to such a horrible, dark place that I didn't know how to get out of. And one day I was in the mic and he gave me a voice. He said, sorry, I might get a little teary. He said, hey, Deborah, why don't you put your artistic talent and your feelings into words and we will record a song for your friend. And we did that and we bonded over that. And we have a very lucky and unique relationship in the fact that we are so different, but we are able to talk about our differences and really just make our corner of the world better through our relationship.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving that a chance. I know that sometimes, I'm not assuming it was hard for you, but I know that sometimes that's hard for people to make friends with people that are that different.
If I can jump in really fast, a little preamble. I know it may not make for the best podcast content, but once again, I had a little bit of time over the course of the week to think about what you were talking about love and Ethan. And so again, not to derail the topic of the show, but I've interacted with both of you enough now to know that, like, what Jenna, what you said about love, and it really hit me hard going out and getting the mail. When I say, hey, how you doing, neighbor? No, I actually care about that person, and I actually want them to feel love and happiness.
Yes.
So yes, it's not I could seriously talk to you guys forever because you're so full of information, so much knowledge. But I don't want to again waste. I think I said something to the effect on Facebook about, like, trying to all this cluttered brain activity and trying to fit it into a little soundbite. It's so hard to do because I could literally talk to you guys for hours and hours. But that really hit me hard when I went back and watched that, and I thought how important that was. But yes, I'm not walking out and saying, hey, how's your day going? And just the colloquial, yeah, good day. How are you doing? No, I actually care about how your day is going. Mm-hmm. And like I said, don't want to derail the topic of the show. It was just, it hit me so hard that I was a totally platonic relationship. My neighbor, theist, I'm atheist, totally different upbringing, and yet how everything has becomes so divisive, and there is no, it can be so much simpler. I think it came up on something you said, Jenna, in maybe it was Atheist Experience, but it was just the idea of not attacking the person, attacking the idea. And there's nothing wrong with having different opinions. We can still sit here and laugh and be friends, but it's I'm sorry. The screen delay is throwing me off right now.
Oh yeah, don't watch the screen. Never watch the screen.
I'm not looking at the screen any longer.
and sorry, Band-Aid is distracting me endlessly. First with the litter box, and then scratching on the door.
I thought it was my cat actually, because he does that too.
Lengthy in my description there that you had to step away. I would actually own that.
I still have my headphones on, so I could hear everything, but it's incredibly hard to focus when your cat's like especially with like ADHD, like certain things, like I can't hear I can't have all these distractions while I'm trying to listen to somebody. I can't have noise,
with you.
Sound distractions.
That's absolutely, Deborah works in
memory care.
Yeah, like memory care. She works in I have all kinds of again, dealing with alcoholism, dealing with a brain trauma, and I know that really fucks up the whole operation. And it's just been a really interesting connection between the two of us. Basically become my best friend in dealing with and coping with all of this stuff. And the idea that we can be so different yet so connected. I thought that was a really important thing with,
right.
Again, I don't know if it's completely off topic, but the idea of unexpected. This was not what I expected.
Well, the thing is, you don't expect to make friends with somebody, and you don't expect to meet, a soulmate in somebody that has different opinions than you. But it's kind of hard sometimes to remember that even the people that you agree with, there are things that you disagree with them on, so you disagree with everyone about something. But yes, about the unexpected, about doing that, that's interesting, is that you're kind of looking at it as gratitude, looking at what you're grateful for, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that, honestly, we've discussed this actually several times. I think I'm not your typical theist, in the fact that I have raised 3 children and they are all 3 atheists. And I have no problem with that, because I raised them in a way that they were free to explore their options, and I didn't force anything upon them, because I raised free thinkers. And the fact that one of the big things that people say is, like, when you're a theist, you need to fellowship. Okay. I don't believe in organized religion. I believe in my relationship with God being my personal journey. I fellowship with good human beings, and your religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs or whatever it will be do not come into play. They absolutely do not come into play. It's just like somebody saying, I can't be friends with you because you're gay. Well, that's freaking ridiculous. That's only one very small part of who you are. So why would your being an atheist, which is a small part of who you are, come into play for me? I want to hang out with you because you're a good freaking person, and I want to just be with you because we can actually improve each other's lives. And I think that's what makes me different than most religious people. And that makes us to where we can actually talk and discuss and be intelligent adults together.
I'll talk to her about this later.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that we should be allowed to explore that. But I think that you're not alone. I think there are a lot of religious people that are coming to those kinds of terms. And I think that is how we're shifting to a more secular society. That's kind of what we're pushing for, and it sounds like that's what you're pushing for. We're not pushing atheism. We're pushing secularism. We're exactly that, just the separation and allowing that to be a separate thing. It's not tied into everything. It's just not. So,
and sorry to once again be that guy, but we do have to wrap up. Mike and Deb.
Sorry.
I know. I apologize. I have to keep us on a time limit, because after this, I go call screen for Talk Heathen, and I don't like to be late. So
well, but feel free, Deborah, to call Talk Heathen. It's if you're ever willing to explore this, and again, I don't want to make the show about this, and I'm so sorry for anybody who wasn't listening for this, but if you're ever interested in exploring it for yourself, Talk Heathen, the show that Ethan's about to volunteer for, Eric and V are the main hosts, and they go over this and the kind of the epistemology of it and break it down in a very gentle way. So it's not, you're not going to get hammered. You're not going to get insulted and called an idiot. They're going to explain to you what they're finding is wrong or right about your epistemology. And so they're really passionate about it. So if you're ever interested, I highly recommend Talk Heathen.
Oh, absolutely. I would totally be interested. But one quick thing before I go, I totally love your artwork behind you. It's beautiful. I also use art for my therapy. And I'd like to say to Ethan, I love your colors. And anybody who gives you a hard time about wearing bright colors or different colors that aren't appropriate, you should just refer to Jason Mimosa and the fact that that man's favorite colors are pink and lavender. So he can walk it, and
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Thank you. I hope you both have a good day. And Mike, thank you for getting Deborah to tune in.
And thank you for sharing your unexpected relationship that you have found through hardship. That's very helpful.
And thank you to our patrons, Kenneth, Leonard, Expresso Cat, Doanya, and Kaitlyn Beyond, who is also our call screener. And it's a good thing we had a call screener, because it turns out I got a message a few minutes ago that 2 people tried calling the show and just start swearing. I guess they were waiting to be live so they could, ruin the show. But we have a call screener. So
we don't have to deal with that triggering trauma.
Anyways, Jenna, what do you have going on this week?
I am picking up with Genesis in the mornings. So meditating every morning at 10 a.m. Central for 15 minutes on Twitch. And then I have Atheistasis that I'm going to release premiered live on YouTube at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. I have Carrot Noises every Friday at 3:30 p.m. where I actually painted this one on Carrot Noises. And kind of chat and hang out during that. And then I'm going to release a video of Genesis, that my baby, kind of that I mentioned earlier in the show. I'm going to release my first episode. I am set on it. I know what I want to do. I just have to do it this week. And so look for a release. I'm not sure when, but look for it. Thank you.
Awesome. This Tuesday on youtube.com/YFNAtheist, aka your friendly neighborhood atheist, is The Perspective. I'll be co-hosting with Katie Montgomery. It begins at 7 p.m. where we tackle supernatural claims, belief in aliens, and conspiracy theories. And then Thursday, 9 p.m. is my show with Hannah Vaughn called The Pickup Line, where we tackle dating, relationships, and sex. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful week.
Thank you. And Patreon.
Oh, and if you like what we do, consider subscribing to our Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Later.